We're back with Rising Ask Me Anything. You were instructed to ask us questions you want us to answer, so we're going to get to them. A quick update to a question that was asked last week about whether I had played the new Baldur's Gate game yet. At the time I had not. I have now since remedied that. I'm playing with a buddy, and we're going to spend a lot of this weekend doing it. It's so great. It is just D&D, the video game. So many little decisions to make, so many glorious choices and ways to optimize things. You might never see me again on this show. So there we have it. All right, first question. Democrats and Republicans' biggest fear, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Cornel West uniting together as independents. They can end the corruption in and around the U.S. government, even though they have disagreements about Israel. What would you think about an RFK Jr. Cornel West team up?
Well, first, I have some questions about who's on the top of the ticket. And secondly, I think there's a misunderstanding about why Israel is such a sticking point. It is not just an issue in isolation. To many of us on the left, RFK Jr.'s position on that issue is reflective of his failure to commit in any sincere way to an anti-imperialist agenda. If he is willing in that context to say we should commit American troops, we should get into war, what does it really mean that in the narrow context of Ukraine, he says, well, I don't want to support that war? How can we trust that he's not going to be saber-rattling for a war with China, for instance? And so I think it goes to the heart of his more broad ideological commitments. Outside of that issue, I think there's this issue of campaign donations and corruption. He is being backed by a multi-million-dollar super PAC that has limited transparency. We talked to the head of that super PAC, I think, last week.
Although, wasn't there some reporting that Cornel West
I'm
got
getting
a bid?
I'm getting to that. And I think that was a core thing for many of us in the Bernie movement, and why we trusted him so much is that he took no billion-dollar donations, no super PACs, et cetera. Now, Cornel West and other progressives that have come down the pike apparently have not been willing to take that same commitment. Now, there was this news that he took a donation, or that a donation was made to him by Harlan Crow, who is this billionaire who has been in the news for having this close relationship with Clarence Thomas and accusations of Supreme Court influence and meddling. Now, it is, of course, the case that anybody can make a political donation. You can't stop someone from making a political donation, and a lot of folks donate to people across the field because they want to influence whoever wins. And Harlan Crow has also donated to No Labels and a lot of independent candidates. Maybe he just wants to spoil it for Biden, and it's not about Cornel West. That being the case, I think Cornel West is going to have to respond to this, and I think give the money back. This happened to Bernie Sanders at one point. There's a Disney heir, Abigail Disney, who's a progressive and has good politics and has a ton of money because she's a Disney heir. She gave a big donation to Bernie Sanders back in 2020. He gave it back. But I don't think the indictment is getting the donation. It's what you do with it once you get it. So we'll see what happens with Cornel West.
I think that Cornel West and RFK Jr. and third-party candidates are interesting, and there should be a lot of unity among those of us who support third-party candidates for the purpose of reforming the actual voting system.
Yeah, I agree with that.
To make it, we have to stick together, not because we agree on what policies are right, but because we all have an interest in changing the system so that any of us could have a better chance, and so the system could be more coalition-based, the way it is in European countries that have more parliamentary systems. We need to stick together so we can hit the 5% funding threshold, the threshold of for the debates, so the third party views can be represented there, and then really a third party figure is not going to win the presidency outright ever. Third party candidates can win and should concentrate frequently, more often, local races.
People love to say that, but you know who our last great third party victory was? A little guy you might have heard of named Abraham Lincoln.
Okay, that was.
I mean, it's
that
true.
Does not count.
It's true. What happened was there was no party that was representing the interest that it later became the Republican Party, and someone who was willing to take this kind of a stance on the issue of the time. And I do think that there's some parallels to this moment with neither political party being willing to be an anti-interventionist party.
Yeah, I agree with that. The other party, the party other than the Democrats, the Whig Party, had collapsed and reformed itself as the Republican Party. So it was still two parties.
We've got one presidential candidate.
I hope that happens.
Who is tripping up the stairs, and another presidential candidate who might be about to be thrown in jail, who has all of his co-conspirators flipping on him in this Georgia case as we covered last week. So, it is an interesting political moment.
All right, second question. What are your thoughts on housing policy? How do we make rent and housing more affordable? These are some more serious questions.
Yeah,
this
you guys
week.
need to understand that part of the game here is for us to be able to talk about things that we don't talk about in the normal course of action. So feel free. You won't be considered unserious if you want to ask us what our favorite color is, our favorite dog breed, where we like to get tacos. And well, we're not going to dox our favorite taco location, maybe. But this could be a moment for some fun.
Green, corgi, and no preference, really. Any taco's as good as any other.
Green, corgi, and any taco that comes your way. Corgi? But you don't have corgis.
No, I have Yorkies. I mean, Yorkies are like my second favorite dog breed. But
Do they know? Do the boys know?
Are they jealous of the corgis?
Okay.
Housing.
I understand why people are bringing
housing.
up housing because there is a housing crisis afoot.
Sure.
That is getting like no political attention whatsoever. I'm trying to find the exact statistic, but it's something like housing costs have risen like 30% in the last few years. I think I saw a tweet the other day that said you have to earn a six-figure salary to afford the average mortgage.
Have you seen all the memes of that's boomer selling a house they bought 50 years ago for $13 in peanuts for $2 million to millennials? Very true.
Yeah, it is very true. And I do think it's an indictment of our political system again that there isn't any real pressure for people to have a plan to address it. All I know, I'm sorry to always do this, but my only affiliation personally with politics in this way, where I had to memorize all these facts, was with the Bernie Sanders campaign. And I do know that he had a housing for all policy, that those things were enormously popular, that there was a plan to build a lot of new housing. I know that some of the supply chain issues during COVID obstructed new construction. That was part of the issue. And I do think it continues to be an issue in some areas, like there's a backlog there still, but there also is a lack of, I think, federal investment in doing something about the problem.
My plan is very simple. I will make it legal to build houses again. I would do away with, in many, California is notorious for having this problem, but it's true in many municipalities. The zoning requirements make it basically impossible to build dense housing units, tall buildings that a lot of people can live in, because they're noisy and blah, 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 and so and so. Neighbors have used, community organizing zoning boards to thwart new development. So I would make that legal again. And then we have a labor shortage among people who actually build houses, which and as you know, maybe I'm making people in progressive circles mad by wanting to do away with regulation. Now I'm going to make people conservatives mad because we actually need more people to work on building the houses, and that would benefit from actually increased immigration. So if you're a knee-jerk opposing more immigrants coming here, the same as opposing like more building materials coming here, we need people to actually build the houses. Yeah. So that's my two-step plan.
I would also know that there is this question of BlackRock and other investment firms buying up a lot of housing stock and sitting on it empty in the middle of the pandemic, and when the prices were really low, and what effect that has on the market. And also, it's worth noting that 10% apparently of the country's housing inventory is empty. I don't know if they're all in the condition to be moved into. Some of them are, some of them aren't, and I would be interested in any policies aimed at refurbishing whatever needs to be refurbished, or trying to figure out if there are investment firms or international conglomerations that are sitting on apartments or houses empty as an investment property, as opposed to what I think should be a human right to have some kind of shelter in the United States of America. How to get to the bottom of that.
All right, thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday.